that wasn't really what I was known for. So every time someone talked to me, they're like, hey, are you doing loans? Are you doing this? And I'm like, well, I mean, I still do some, but not really, to the level that I was doing, because I got out of that business and I wanted to respect my partners. And so I just still referred everyone over to the old company. And so, I struggled with that a little bit. And I think that struggle is why I took a year or two off, was just to like kind of relax and and I'm not going to say to reinvent myself or anything like that, but just really take a step back and say, hey, what do I want? And, for me, it was, I was fortunate where, I had some savings and income still coming in, and royalties and all that good stuff. So it was, but you sit there and you look at it, and I spent a lot of time with like my kids, and I coach I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old. I coach their soccer and his baseball and things like that, and that kind of became my life. And then, I was kind of getting lost a little bit business-wise, so I tried to figure out, I better get back into this a little bit more. And what I started to do was, figure out how I can help other people. And I came to the conclusion that there's some people who have a knack for spotting opportunity, right? And that happens to be my knack. And so I have this, I can figure out where the opportunity stands. And I think one of the things that helps navigate through the 2008 turmoil, and I've been through, I think, 3 recessions at this point, and is that agility, that ability to reinvent yourself, and that ability to spot opportunity and sit there and say, hey, this changed. So if you look at what happened in 2008, that was 2009 was some people's best year ever. And yet others were struggling and couldn't keep the electricity on, right? And that's because some people changed. If you guys have been in the business long enough to where you try a marketing program, or you've tried something and it works for a little bit and then it fails to work and it's inconsistent and it's like, oh, that didn't really work out. Well, yeah, it worked. It worked for a while. But what didn't work is you either didn't pay attention to what was happening in the marketplace and adjust to it. And those adjustments, those little adjustments, like every time you hear the news that there's, some program has now changed and it's changed this much, and it's like, oh, that's not a big deal. It's a big deal. All these little things, there's small little changes that happen here that's going to affect you in 6 or 7 or 8 months or 9 months down the road. And if you don't make those small counter adjustments, then you're starting to lose a little bit of ground. And if enough of those adjustments build up, then now you've got an issue where you're trying to play catch up. And I think that's what happens when a lot of people aren't doing 10, 20 transactions a year. You guys are super fortunate, by the way, that you're in a marketplace where the price points are up here. Because I can tell you that when I speak in other parts of the country, and their price points are 30,000, 50,000, they're all doing, like here, the non-producers are doing 3 times the amount that we do here. Because they have to. Because that's what you have to do there. Are there more transactions there? Probably not. It's a smaller market. But there's, I'll say certainly probably less real estate. Yeah. But they have to do, listen, they're doing 60 to 100 transactions. Right? So imagine yourself right now and what you're doing to try to get 5 transactions a year. And what they have to do to get 60 or 70 to make the same amount of money of you guys that are doing maybe 10 transactions. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of overhead. It's staff. It's everything else. And talk about really just having to be out there to get that amount of transactions is very difficult. It's not an easy process, but it's something that they work at, and it is a job for them to go out and do. So, let's see if I can keep on track here. So I guess the next part that I wanted to have you guys really think about and analyze for yourselves, because these aren't questions I can answer for you, is, planning. And this is kind of the lead-in, is how do you plan out what your business is going to be? And a lot of you, I can tell you, 100% don't have a plan. You're just doing whatever the broker is telling you to do, hoping that it works, and you're getting in front of people, and then you're not closing them because you can't close them. Because either you don't have that skill, which is okay, by the way. And let me ask you, how many of you guys have gone to the sales classes? or read sales books. Okay. So real estate is all sales. When I first started, I knew I had a disadvantage. I was 17 years old. I don't have facial hair now. As a 17-year-old, I looked like a kid, right? And you sit there and I knew that I had to keep in my voice when I spoke to people on the phone, because otherwise they knew that they were talking to a teenager and they weren't taking it seriously. I started dressing up and wearing suits because I had to fit the part of a quote-unquote real estate agent. And I just started reading sales books and psychology books about like sales and how they coordinated and what have you, and reading body language, because I'm going to say that, like he mentioned Kevin. So Kevin is a natural salesperson. He's a firefighter, right? Doesn't really know anything about real estate, but what he does know is how to he has no fear, right? Because he doesn't know that he should be fearful. And because he hasn't had enough no's that he's cared about, right? Because you can get a no. I mean, everybody gets no's every day, right? I mean, there's just no's that happen in your life. From when you're a kid, you get conditioned to the no's. But then there's the no's that you care about, the ones that you think, hey, you should have gotten, and then now you feel slighted. And that's, I think, when you need to have a kind of a team around you or a support system, so that you get beyond that. Right, so that you can, and also have that training to understand that no is actually getting you closer to a yes. Now, if you get a lot of consistent no's, I'm just going to tell you, the problem's not them, it's you. Period. Because if you have the same objection that comes up in your pitch, I'm going to tell you that I used to tell my sales reps this, I'll tell you guys the same thing, is that if you consistently get to a point in your pitch where this question comes up, it's not them, it's you. Because the only common denominator there is you. All of these sellers didn't know each other, right? So you have to record yourself. This is a sales step. Videotape yourself, listen to yourself, record your conversation with sellers, and replay it and listen to it like an audiobook in the car. And say, what did I do wrong? Oh, man. I can tell you, I'm going to give you an example. I used to have this loan rep, and he just couldn't convert, wasn't converting. He was converting enough where he's okay, but he was missing out on more opportunities for the amount of people that he was talking to. And he invited some people to our office, and they were looking for financing. And we sat in the conference room. I let him just take the lead. It's great. Towards the end, he's kind of explaining what we do, doing all this stuff, talking about them. And then I asked him, I said, well, what are your rates? And he starts going into this whole thing. Okay. And so, end of the meeting, the end, he gives them an application, and then they leave. And I asked him, I said, well, how do you think that went? He said, oh, I think it went great. I'm like, that was a terrible meeting. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, they came to you to give you business and you just fucked it up. I said, if somebody comes to you, number one, right? If they come to you, they're already telling you, we are going to do business with you. That's what they've actually told you. That they've gotten out of their comfort zone, come to your office. They came with their financials, which he didn't even get. And I'm like, you're quoting rates. You haven't even talked to them about what they're doing. You have no idea what the transaction is. You have no idea. You're just supposed to sit there, just total cluster. And I said, listen, your problem right now is that you're trying to sell. And see, they came here trying to sell you on giving them money, and you're trying to sell them on making you a commission. You understand the difference there? Okay. At the point where they've invited you into their house, let me ask you guys, somebody knocks on your door, how often do you invite somebody into your house? Okay. So if you've gotten in the house, do you think that you have a better than, you're a high percentage of getting that listing unless you just keep talking. And I told them, I said, listen, they came to us, they approached us for money, and you did all the talking. So what happened? You left that conversation with everything you know. They left the conversation with everything they know and everything you know. Your job is to leave the conversation with everything that they know and everything you know so that you can help them. And what he was doing is he's in sales mode. He's just sell. Like, just shut up. Shut up and listen. Hear what they're telling you. Fix the problem. That's what we are. We're order takers, problem solvers, nothing more. Right? Yeah. And so if you're doing that, that will help you. Now, if someone's telling you, hey, okay, well, we're going to interview other agents, right? That's like, you guys remember when you're dating back then? It's like, it's not you, it's me. It's the same shit. They're telling you, yeah, it's not you. I'm going to interview other agents, right? Because they've already invited you. I mean, let me ask you this. If you're a seller, put yourself in a seller's position. You want to go through that presentation 2 or 3 more times with other people? Right. Because what? It's different when she puts it in the MLS and when I put it in the MLS? Fuck off. Come on. It's the same shit. We all do the same thing. Everybody does the same. It's the same. 99% of the time, the buyer's going to come off the MLS. It's not going to come from an open house. You know what? I know one broker, and she lists some of my properties. She's the only person that I know. She runs about 80% selling the houses at the open houses. And she doesn't even sell it for herself. She just sells the house. She knows that, and this is why she gets my business, is that she knows she's there to sell that house. And agents, they send their buyers through. I've been in the car with her when an agent, like she's told an agent, she's like, that buyer's going to write on this house. Don't screw it up. Because she sits there and she sells the house and she listens to the people and what they're looking for. And she uses those keywords and those trigger words to sell. So if you have not had formal sales training, I got to tell you, you got to do it. Read a book, audio tape, YouTube. I mean, there's so many more tools available to you guys that when I got started, I mean, like the internet was not around when I got started. Isn't that terrible? But I think you have to figure out that plan, right? And if your plan is failing, you have to recognize at least that you have a failing plan, right? And that you have this plan that needs to change. And I think that's why you're here, is because you're looking for something to make it change. So what is it? Is it that you need to get a broker's license? Is it that you need a team for support? I can tell you, I suck and I hate paperwork. Terrible paperwork. Is real estate a great business for me? No. Terrible, right? Yeah, but I do hire people that are very good at paperwork for me because that's my weakness. If I have to do a bunch of stuff, I mean, I'm like, oh my God, I get depressed and I have ADHD, so I'm like, oh yeah, it's a squirrel. And so it's anything will, as you can tell by how I'm bouncing around. Right? So, but I will say this, when you've got, what's my time here? Say Rob whistles if you guys weren't like listening from my soccer coaching here. All right, I have a little bit of time. So here's some tips, I guess, and tactics I think that you guys can do. One is find yourself a niche, right? And have your plan. Your plan should consist of this. Your plan should have, and the goal should not be make money. If that's your goal, honestly, you're kind of fucked. It's not going to go well for you guys. It's because the problem is that the goal is money, and people smell that like desperation to make money. And when you're selling a house, do you want to have a real estate agent whose main focus is their commission? No, because they're going to tell you to take the first offer that you get because that's how they get paid quicker, right? So if you're a seller, you want someone who has your best interest, who tells you, no, you know what, just wait a little bit more, or hey, here's what we can do. And part of your technique should be educating them, right? I think you cannot lie to sellers at all. I think that most sellers, especially today, with all of the information that's out there between Redfin and Zillow and everybody else, that if you're sitting there and giving them hey, here's what your house is worth, that's your opinion. And I can tell you in your position, like job one for us was that valuation and figuring out how to spot opportunity or spot what the actual value of a property was. and then having a dialogue with people about